Right, helping us break down the Sky Bet Championship weekend is a man who has played over 350 games at the level. It's only Jed Wallace. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a while. I didn't actually realise it's been that many games now. Yeah, it's a lot of running around, definitely.
Yeah, West Brom's captain, Jed Wallace, to give you your full title. We almost never start the pod by talking about a draw, but we'll make an exception in this instance as you've joined us. Friday night, West Brom, Leicester. Does it feel to you guys like you play every Friday night? Because I feel like I watch West Brom play on Sky every single Friday night.
Yeah, we do, yeah. And I think every player will tell you that when the fixtures come out and you know you've got a Friday night game, it gives you a massive opportunity for a potential week off if you win the game. It hurt Friday a lot, to be honest. I was speaking about this yesterday, actually. I had my parents up for the weekend, and those draws, they're almost worse than defeats in a way. When you feel like you lose them 2 points, it hurts. We played really well in a game. I said that to the lads after. We played far too well to not win the game. And obviously, look, we know that Leicester are going to be there or thereabouts, and we want to be there as well. So it's not only the fact that we've dropped 2 points, we've also given them a point as well, which hurts. I thought the lads played really well. Obviously, we need to be more clinical and sort of finish the game off, really. And because at 1-0, as we've seen countless times, it only takes a deflection. When I feel like, I think the last two home games, we've had 2 shots on our goal and they've both gone in. It's massively disappointing, really. And as you know, Ali, the Championship's up and down, but they do. You alluded to it, 350 games I think I've played, and for some reason they hurt more and more as I get older, to be honest. Them sort of results, it does hurt. And Championship, we have an opportunity now to bounce back with 2 tough away games coming up.
Can you use that experience of football and of the Championship to and your leadership role as well to try and hammer home the point that was, to my eyes anyway, one of, if not the best performance of the season, both ends of the pitch, really, certainly creating chances more so than in some previous games, and at the back doing a pretty good job against some astoundingly good individual players that Leicester have. At this early stage of the season, Jed, where the table is so bunched up and clearly results, 3 points is worth the same as it is in May, but those performances, they do bode well, because it's not an easy game. Your last game was against Borough. It was another relatively close one, albeit a narrow defeat in the end. Where are you at with like performances versus results at the moment with West Brom?
No, I do agree. I know early in the season performance is important. I think the manager's kind of gone the other way with it, which I tend to agree with in terms of, and I feel the same. It's like we dominated the Derby game. Didn't get anything from the game, and then obviously we've dominated the Leicester game and got nothing. And throughout my years in the Championship, I know how important even goal difference can be sometimes to get over the line, whether it's in the top 2 or into the playoffs. So the overriding theme for me is we've wasted 3 or 4 points really for the opportunity and for as well as we played. I think probably in every game so far, bar the Middlesbrough game, we've probably been the better team in every game, which is important, because you know that we could play that Derby game, for example, probably 10 times and we'd probably win it 9 times. It was just on the day. I think as soon as we headed the ball and it hit Alex Mowat on the rear, on the bum, and it didn't go in, and I thought, you know what? And then again the other night when we have chances, don't put it away, and then it's a deflection and it's a little bit against us. But we know over the course of the season, like you said, if we are the better team for 8 out of 10 games, that we're going to get more good results than bad ones. But at the same time, I do feel like we've wasted certainly 2 or 3 points in the last couple of home games.
Yeah, it was a great goal from Illing Jr. And it was a nice bit of link play again from Hegerberg, who absolute tank up top. I've been really enjoying watching him handle long passes forward. Haven't seen many players at the level, to be honest, with that level of kind of strength and skill and able to link it. Isaac Price has had some really good performances as well. Obviously joined in January, but sort of taking on more of more responsibility on the attacking end as well. So it feels like a bit of a new look, West Brom, and it's a club like a few others, like your former club Millwall, for example, that has had bit more consistency of personnel, I would suggest, over the last 4 years, but now a bit of a feeling of freshness, even if you're still kicking around.
Yeah, right. Yeah, cheers, mate. No, I think this is my fourth season, and I think my first year Alex Moat was on loan. So I think it's only Jason Malumbi that was there from when I was there. So it shows the turnaround in them sort of 3 or 4 years that we've had, really. But like you say, there's new people coming in. I mean, Hegebo, like you say, absolute unit, mate. I mean, you don't want to be in the wrong gym group. If you're in the same gym group as him and Daryl DK and they finish their set of reps and then I'm going over there, I'm taking a lot of weight off the bar, because them two, they are big, strong lads. I've seen it already. I mean, when Hegebo goes next to Bielik in training, get out of the way, because
Really?
I mean, those two are at it in training. Yeah, big, strong lads. And I think culturally, them lads fit in typically. Like the Scandinavian boys, the Norwegians, the Polish, the Germans, they fit in culturally with the English football. They very much have that mentality of getting on with the hard work, just roll their sleeves up, get on with it. And I think we've added a lot of physicality to the group this summer with George Campbell playing right back as well, obviously big, strong boy. Like you say, Hegebo. We've still got, obviously, Daryl to come back, Carlin Grant to come back, Tam Mabani to come back. So they're going to be important because the squad's probably not as big as it has been in years go by. So we're going to need to keep the right players fit. And I'd like to think we're going to be there or thereabouts. I think it was important, like I say, for Sam Illan Jr. to come in and score on his first start was really important for him. There is definitely a freshness to the group with the likes of Alfie Gilchrist, Toby Collier coming in. You're never sure when you sign players from big, big clubs whether they're going to really buy into the culture of the Championship. And it's obviously very different to what they're used to, but they've really fitted in well. Really great, hard-working boys, and I think that's important. I always sort of judge the squad and how the togetherness is on maybe that training session Saturday morning. There's disappointed lads that we haven't come on the pitch. There's disappointed that we've conceded a last-minute goal, and have we got any sulkers, or is it going to be a good session? And the training session on Saturday morning, on the back of probably 3 or 4 hours sleep for most players and a lot of disappointed lads, was brilliant, to be honest. And that's a big thing for me moving forward as captain. When you look at the standards in training every single day, they're the important parts that over the course of a season really make a difference, I think.
You've played under a number of different managers, head coaches. Tell us about Ryan Mason, kind of first senior full-time role. Obviously had a couple of interim bits and bobs at Spurs. What's he been like to work under?
He's been great from the moment he's come in. Again, you mentioned freshness in the squad. I think there's a freshness in the staff as well. Obviously, he's come in with 3 or 4 different people have come with him. The likes of Gibbo, obviously, who's been around everywhere. Everyone knows him, what a quality guy he is and quality coach, to be honest. But also with the people that are there that have been at the club for many years that make the club great. So I think we're in a good spot. I think since the first day of pre-season, the messaging's been very clear from the gaffer, presents it very well in the meeting room, and then, like you say, there's that energy. That obviously it's his first coaching role, and he's young enough, and you see him when he sprays the ball around in training, he could probably still join in and play for us, to be honest. So yeah, he's brought a real freshness, but a little bit of an edge as well. And I think he's shown that when, like you touched on earlier, where you said, the performances are good, he sort of nipped that in the bud and went, lads, we're not here for good performances, we're here to win games of football, which I think is important as well. I think sometimes, especially modern day football, people can get too excited on performance, and ultimately it is a results business, and I think the manager's been really keen to stress that for us and sort of said, look, don't play well and waste it. We need to get over the line and win games, which is important, because you know how this league goes. I think I've said it before. Darnell Furlong said it to me a couple of years ago. It's probably the best analogy I've seen in the Championship. When you're winning games, you look at your run of fixtures and you go, oh yeah, they look good. And then all of a sudden, when you've lost 2 in a row, you look at your run of fixtures and you go, oh, they all look really hard. It's so up and down, isn't it? So momentum of playing well, like you said, we've played well in pretty much every game. And when you're playing well, you need to capitalise on it, because there will be times this season, like every team, I'm sure, where we're not playing as well.
Good to hear that Darnell Furlong is the great Championship philosopher of our time. Yeah,
it's so true, because I just thought, once you look at a run of games and you go, yeah, they look good, and then your confidence is a bit low and you think, oh, actually, them 2 away games, yeah. It can change so quickly, can't it?
For sure. Well, we're going to talk about the whole league now, and I am struck by the fact, looking at the division, what are we, seven or so games in, that there aren't very many poor teams, and it's always been the Championship's cliche that there's no easy games and that anyone can beat anyone. And while that is true, I still think, and it's hard to explain why exactly, but I still think, looking at the league this year, that the level of the poorest teams has gone up increasingly over the last few years, to the point where, I mean, last season's relegation battle was a good example of teams going down who in any other year would have been probably coming 16th, 17th, and going down on good points tallies as well. It is so unbelievably competitive. I mean, and possibly reflected well in the fact that I can't remember a week where we've had 7 draws in one EFL league, but that's what we had in the Championship. 6-1 all draws and a 0-0. So we're going to focus on some of the big winners to start with. Coventry beat Birmingham 3-0. Sort of bit of a statement this, I would suggest, for Cov, and kind of underlying where they are right now, and particularly in the context of some of the relegated sides starting a little slowly. Cov have done the opposite. 1-0 up through Thomas Asante, then Robinson of Birmingham City getting sent off for 2 yellow cards. Second one just misjudged the flight of the ball. It's a bit unfortunate, really, just to catch the leg of Hadji Wright, but probably was a second yellow. And then more of the same in the second half. Osei Samuel with an own goal, and Victor Torp finished it off. Jed, it's been a hell of a start from Cov, and I just get the sense, watching them play, that they just seem a bit more serious this year. And I guess what I mean by that is defensively a bit stronger and less likely to let themselves down in both boxes, as I see it anyway, so far. And I wonder to what extent the fact that they've got good relationships kind of all over the pitch and consistency of their team might play a part in that.
No, I think you're right. I think that's a group now that's been together quite a while, sort of the main core of the group. And I fancied them at the start of the season. I felt they'd be there or thereabouts, to be honest. They've got a lot of firepower, very, very physical. When you look at sort of Thomas Asante, Hadji Wright, Sims, Van Eyck, Redoni, like very strong, powerful team, lots of pace. Kesler Hayden, another one that really impressed me last season. Probably, for me, one of the best fullbacks in the league. So I think they're a team that's obviously had the manager for a while. They've had a group of players there together, and obviously added in people like Grimes along the way. We know the quality that these guys have got. So I'm not surprised to see where they are. Again, their bench looks strong, which is important, as we know, over the course of the season. And they probably have 3 or 4 players in the squad they feel they can all get to double figures in terms of goals. So yeah, they've had a really, really good start. I think the Championship as a whole, in my mind, maybe at the start of the season, and in the line of a lot of people, they probably felt there was going to be 2 or 3 teams that may be better than the rest. But in true fashion of the Championship, it looks like as wide open as it always is. So I think it's going to be there for everyone, really. When you look at the start, that Sheff United and Ipswich and have had a bit of a slow start in Southampton. It just shows that coming down into this league, regardless of the names that you've got on paper, that every game is a real challenge.
Yeah, I think a few of the things that I think are in Cov's favour at the moment, and by design, not by luck. I think the style of play in the Championship as a whole at the moment suits the players that they have. As you say, they have guys that look after the ball really, really well. Matt Grimes being the main one I'm talking about there, but others. But at the top of the pitch, that physicality, that pace, they are able to look after the ball and have 2/3 of the ball and build, and they've got those nice patterns of play, particularly down the right side when Redoni drifts right. You've got Van Eyck, you've got Sakamoto, or whoever's playing on the right wing. So they're pretty comfortable against a low block, I would suggest, albeit most teams, that is a difficult thing to attack against. But then also, I think they're getting the ball forward a bit quicker this season, and it seems to be working for them. Like against Birmingham, a lot of the issues that Birmingham had defending against Cov were balls over the top, getting the ball forward quickly and making the most of what they have at the top of the pitch. I guess there's, if I'm really trying to look ahead, the start of the season, every team's got, like, they want to impose themselves on their opposition because they've been planning to play a certain way all summer. And I do wonder if Coventry are gunning for automatics. Second half of the season, they play teams a second time, whether there might be a sort of teams tweaking the way they play and maybe coming onto them a bit less. And then they'll have another sort of question to answer on that front. That's the sort of thing that happens a bit, doesn't it, between sort of first round of fixtures and then the second half of the season. Yeah,
100%. And I think that's a big thing. I think a lot of teams, sometimes they're better when they don't have the ball. I think when you look at Ipswich at times, I think they fall into the same category where a lot of their players, they need space and they want space on the transition, and sometimes those sort of teams, they perform better in the open games. And it's the same for us. Sometimes as a player, it's strange when you play against the Leicesters of the world where they're clearly trying to win the game as well. Sometimes as an attacking player, those games feel easier because naturally there's space there to run into. And obviously when you play against other teams where it's a low block and there's no space, and every time you get the ball, the wingers drop to make a 2v1 defensively, that those games always feel sometimes harder. And that will be the challenge. I think any team that at the start of the season, the games are always a bit more open because no one knows really who's going to be good and who's not going to be good. And like you said, in the second half of the season, Coventry, for example, they might be playing against teams that respect them a lot more, and then all of a sudden they're dropping and they're happy to go and get a point. And it's a completely different challenge. So, yeah, I think everyone learns a lot from playing each other the first time around. And as we know, this league, 3-game week, you can win 3 or lose 3 with a flip of a coin, to be honest.
It does feel, you mentioned playing open games. Every game I'm watching at the moment in the Champ does feel like really basketball-y. Both teams welcoming a match that's going to give both sides chances in transition. And you've got like out of possession and in possession trends, which change quite quickly in this league. Like we're only a couple of years away from that season where like more than half the teams were playing 3-5-2. It was absolutely horrendous product. And now almost gone like quite far the other way, where it's sort of, you know, the buzzword tactically for a few years at the top of the game was like control, and all those star managers obsessed with controlling every single inch of the game. And now it's kind of like those who can thrive in chaos. And I feel like that's stripped down a bit to the Championship. It's great to watch, I must say. And it might calm down a bit as the season goes on, as you say. But it does feel like a bit different tactically this season.
Yeah, well, I watched the highlights of Hull Watford. I mean, it could have been like 10-0. Like, it was absolute carnage, wasn't it? Like, it was carnage. And I think I agree with you in terms of it does feel a bit more open. But I think that's also a lot of teams had really good windows in terms of recruitment. So I think there's a lot of teams that fancied themselves to be up near the top 6. And I think probably the league's still working itself out of who's going to be the top teams and will we go there and take a point. And I think we've been in that boat as well, where we sort of went to Wrexham early on, and who knows what they were going to do, and it sort of took us half an hour in the game to sort of realise actually we can have the ball here and we can dominate rather than sort of hang on. And I think that's sort of a trend at the moment where everyone's still working everyone out. And set plays, I feel like the first goal was massive this season. I feel like the first goal's been massive of sort of watching games where teams get their nose ahead and then the other team have all the ball and it's defending crosses. And yeah, set plays as well. Set plays, I feel like every team now is doing a long throw, and even if it's not a long throw, it's a short, long one to flick it on. And the same for us, for Middlesbrough, all the patterns of play that we look to play and Middlesbrough look to play, and we give up a really cheap goal from like a short, long throw. And it just completely transforms the game, because then we have to come out of our shape and press, and then you see the quality that Hackney and Morris have got, really, which probably on the night made the difference. For me, both of them top draw. I mean, everyone talks about Hackney, and rightly so. He's obviously one of the best midfielders in the league. But for me, Morris is right up there with him. And it feels like, again, we played obviously Leicester, and they have the duo of Mavididi and Fatawu as well. So sort of every team feels like they have a duo, really, of real potent players in whatever position they are. So yeah, the league's sort of still working itself out, and it's so up and down, isn't it? Blackburn obviously beating Ipswich last week 1-0, and then they go to Charlton and lose 3-0, and it's just so unpredictable, and that's why we love it.
I think you'll find that was match abandoned, actually, Jed.
Well, yes.
Not 1-0.
Apart from Greavesy. Greavesy's managed to get a suspension. So I can't believe, the goal don't count, but the red card does. You're absolutely fuming there, aren't you?
I was going to ask, so yeah, for anyone who didn't watch the news or didn't stay up with the news last week, we talked about what should happen, what would happen with the result and the match, and the upshot is the game will be replayed in full from 0-0. So that Rovers 1-0 lead with 10 minutes left against 10-man Ipswich, they'll have to recreate that. I mean, that's the sort of thing surely, like in the dressing room and on the bus and stuff, you guys are talking about, because it's kind of rare, and because somehow it is still a bit of a grey area, so you can just fill it with whatever stance you want to take. What would you say is the general feeling amongst players? And you're all neutrals as well.
Yeah.
You know, you're not Ipswich or Rovers. So like, what do you think about that?
Well, I had Connor Townsend around mine yesterday for a catch-up in the morning for a cup of tea and a bacon sarnie, and then I had Alex Palmer's wife's baby shower in the afternoon, which I saw out. So obviously I was giving them both a bit of stick, saying, typical relegated team, they're getting away with it, da-da-da-da-da, and they were like, no. They both obviously have the stance of it's Blackbird's fault for the pitch and da-da-da-da-da. So I do have a little bit of sympathy for them, because I did it at Millwall 4 or 5 years ago. We went up and the game got called off. I don't know if you remember, the game got called off at like 1:45 for a 3 o'clock kickoff for a waterlogged pitch. So there's obviously an issue there with the pitch. But I can see it from disappointment side from Blackburn, and obviously from Ipswich. They're thinking, brilliant, got away with one and you get another opportunity. You just know, a bit like on the weekend when Lewis O'Brien probably should have seen a red card. You just knew that he was going to score the opening goal. And there's probably every chance now that Ipswich go up there, win 5-0, and Greaves would probably score a hat-trick. And that's just the way that football is, isn't it? That's just the way that football is. So it's very, very disappointing, I'm sure, for Blackburn. But they obviously do have some kind of issue there, because I feel like it's not the first time it's happened with their pitch.
Yeah. So much to go to really next. Just quickly, you mentioned Fatawu, and I didn't really ask you about Leicester specifically. I mean, Fatawu must be the player in the league that causes opposition fans the most amount of fear when he's on the ball. Like, the goal he scored against Charlton in their win there, that sets the tone for the whole season. I mean, saying that, Philogene Badas has already scored 4 like bangers as well, so maybe he's right up there. But just in terms of like the guy who has it, even if he's right on the touchline, and even if you've got 2 or 3 heading over there to try and put the fire out, like, I mean, he's remarkable.
Yeah, he's great, but I can't believe he's only 21.
Yeah, crazy.
I wish I can't, because then as soon as I saw that, I actually saw that in the programme before the game that he was 21, I immediately cast my mind back to obviously the year they went up and thought, oh God, he was only like 19 when they went up.
Yeah.
Like, how's someone not come in and bought him for me? Like, I know last season he had his challenges. He was in and out of the team, didn't play as much as he'd have liked for various reasons. But even the year they went up, I thought he was outstanding. Especially when I think of, we played them at their place, lost 2-1. And he was really good that day. And again, the other night, I don't think Charlie Taylor, for the first game he's played in a while, to play 90 minutes on debut like that against him, I thought Charlie had an outstanding game actually against him.
Yeah.
But like you say, he is someone that...
Well, it was because there were three Baggies players went out to him, didn't they, for the goal? And I don't know whether that's right or wrong or not, but it's a bit of a numbers game when you're pumping balls into the box. And obviously, when you've got 3 of your outfield players out wide to try and stop a ball that went into the box, and you've got a man free at the back post, that's a tough one.
It's hard because I've sort of said after, like, we need to communicate better if there's an overload. But I think where Bobby's so wide, Decordova-Reid, when you pause it, he's like 20 yards wide. It feels like he's not even there, and then obviously it goes in where Reid's a flight of the ball, and then it's a deflection, and it's difficult. But yeah, he was good in it. I don't think he had his best game, Fatawu, but you can still feel the quality he has, the danger that he brings. Top player, and obviously the lad they brung on as well, I think he's only 16. He was very sharp as well, is so they've got some real firepower. So it'll be interesting how Leicester do. I think they've got a lot of firepower, but obviously they're quite open probably on transition, which we felt in the game anyway. How do they compare
to the Maresca team? Because playing personnel wise is pretty similar. Obviously, Cifuentes versus Maresca, different approaches. But I mean, and you know, I will say this: you may not, as a current player, be willing to, but like the way that you talked about how disappointed you guys were to not win those games made me look back at Leicester's results, which have been fine, like decent start to the season, best of the 3 relegated sides. But I reckon pretty much every team that's lost to them or drawn to them has thought, we could have had them there. Like they're not quite as terrifying maybe as the team that went up.
No, but with that, the reason they get results is because they do have very, very high quality individual players. And even in the game, I think the general consensus from the lads was that we played well, but they were very good. And sometimes that's hard to understand when you're watching the game, but you can feel the quality they have. They had some really good sequences of play where we're pressing, and you can see how well coached they are. And people like Winks, where a lot of players in the league would need 3 touches, he takes 2, and he just moves you enough. And I think you could feel the quality that they had in the game, but you could also feel how well we played. And that's sort of the message for me before the game. I said, lads, if we're at it, we can match anyone. And I think we've shown that in every game we played this season. If we play well and we're as intense as we can be off the ball with the energy that we have in the team, with the likes of Jason Malumbi and Isaac Price, then for me, we can be a match for anyone. I think we showed that. But again, with Ipswich, Leicester, they're going to have 3 or 4 players you think that are going to be there or thereabouts scoring double figures. And with that, they're going to be knocking on the door of the top 6, certainly, I imagine.
Yeah, Jeremy Monga, you mentioned 16, only turned 16 about 2 months ago. He's in the England under-19 squad already. I was reminded, obviously I knew this already because I know everything about you, Jed, but I was reminded that you got yourself a little under-19s cap as well back in 2013. Yes. Just a 3-0 win against the Scots. No big deal.
Yeah.
How many
one cap wonder, I think.
Yeah, well, didn't need any more.
Hey, it's one more than most people have got, eh?
Exactly. What? How many of your teammates, right, from that day can you name? There's a quiz.
Oh, here we go. So, team-wise, I'd go Jordan Pickford in goal, Jordan Turnbull, Callum Chambers.
Both on the bench, those two.
On the bench.
Defenders were Adam Webster.
Webby, yeah, who was at Portsmouth with me at the time.
Ty Browning. And Jack O'Connell.
Browning. Jack O'Connell. Yeah.
Did you? Yeah. I think you might have played wing back. I think you might have played a little 3-5-2.
No, I don't think I did. I don't think I played there.
Transfermarkt has got
Shaquille Cole first.
Yeah.
Adam Campbell, Chuba. I think Chuba was playing up.
Oh, you got the Cobham boys in midfield.
Lewis Baker, Swifty.
Yeah.
And
then star of the championship right now down at your former club Pompey, Josh Murphy.
Josh Murphy, yeah. Yeah,
that must have been. I mean, Transfermarkt's got it 3-5-2. I don't know what else it could have been because that's 3 centre backs, you and Josh, then Baker and Swift and Campbell, and then maybe Colthurst didn't play up top, but he's down as a striker.
Anyway. Yeah, because I remember first training session, Lewis Baker started taking corners with both feet, in swing and out swing, and I'm thinking, right, so this must be the level. Okay,
this is England.
Obviously, I've been playing in League Two with Portsmouth, thinking coming from non-league and then playing League Two with Portsmouth, and people are taking corners with both feet. Thought, right, that's interesting. That's something I've not seen when I was at Lewis in the Ryman Premier League before.
Do you know what? It's unbelievable amount of, given that this is 12 years ago, unbelievable amount of current championship players in there with Akpom, Murphy, Swift, Baker.
Who was on the bench? Have you got the bench there?
Yeah, Cameron Dawson, backup keeper, Jordan Turnbull, Callum Chambers, Greg Lee, and then Ben Pearson, Callum Harriott, and Max Clayton.
Max Clayton, yeah.
Max Clayton, number 7.
He was obviously in the crew team with Nick Powell, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah, class. Right, back to business. Charlton 3, Blackburn 0. Kind of looked like a joyous afternoon at the Valley in that we're talking about how tight the league is and how hard every game is. Once they went ahead, from the moment Gillespie headed home at the back post, such a star for them in promotion last season. It's been kind of, it's a brutal world, isn't it, football? He's been kind of put aside on ice for the first month or two of the season, but needed to come back in after an injury to Edwards, headed them in front from a set piece, and then second half, they just kept going. Didn't let Blackburn in it at all. Sonny Carey with a banger after Alafe had done some good work in the kind of the disruptor number 9 role that I like to call it, where you just run the channels, be strong, be quick, get the ball, latch onto it, and bring others into play. Did that really well.
He's one of the best lads, I reckon. Just to interrupt you there, Ali. He's one of the best lads I think I've ever come across in football.
Really?
Tanto. He is just... when you see someone do well for themselves, like what he's done, couldn't be happier for him. He's just such a nice lad.
That's nice.
So hard-working. Was obviously come through at Millwall, sort of really backed himself, dropped down the leagues and found a way back to the Championship. Couldn't be happier for him. One of the nicest lads and most popular lads that I've shared a dressing room with, I would say. So he's someone that definitely deserves it. And you can see that the way he plays. I mean, he'd chase after anything, wouldn't he? Fight, bully his way through anything. So yeah, he's someone that he's definitely getting what he deserves. So it's great to see him doing so well.
Yeah, he's kind of good timing, I would suggest, in terms of like the prototype Championship number 9 right now, and fashion and trends change. I think right now, particularly if you are looking domestically, if you're a Championship club, you're looking for a number 9. Almost every club is every summer. A lot of them looking overseas and bringing in players from other leagues and other cultures. If you're looking just domestically, with his skill set and playing a couple of years under Dave Chandler at Stockport in a good side, he was seemingly like kind of an obvious one to get the step up, and there's been a few, aren't there? Obviously Kone at QPR as well, and Alafe. This is what I love about Charlton at the moment. I was going to put to you that they are more Millwall than Millwall are right now, in terms of the Millwall side that you were in, coming up from League One to the Championship and trying to establish yourselves. The approach that you took, just absolute intensity, and particularly what Charlton are able to bring off the bench at the top of the pitch, which allows them to continue playing in a way that is it just asks so many questions of a team's back line. Added to that, the best part of their team, which is the unsexy part, which is their defence, which is just so locked in at all times, so hard to break down. It takes you a long way, and they're absolutely flying. 3 wins, 2 draws, and 2 defeats. 1 defeat to Leicester, which was on Sky. Everyone who watched that knew that Charlton were not the second best there for Tawu Weldy. 3-1 defeat against QPR was probably a fair result. 1-1 draw with Millwall, which they were leading until Kane Ramsey got sent off, and then kind of pressure told in the end. And a 0-0 at Bristol City, where again really strong away performance. I mean, I'm so impressed.
They're hard to play against. It's typical Nathan Jones, isn't it, in terms of man for man all over the pitch, physical outfit. It's like a throwback style of football in terms of, like you say, it's pressure, isn't it? And they've got a fan base that's probably quite behind them, stepping up. He's really galvanised the club, I feel, from the moment he's gone in there. Yeah, I agree. I know exactly what you're saying in terms of that pressure ball, which we probably really did well at Millwall the first couple of years we came up, where from set plays we were horrible and it was just recycling, putting the ball in the box, making teams defend. And there's no right or wrong way to do it, to be honest. When you win 3-0, like I say, people can get too obsessed with performance and this and that, and it's ultimately a game of results. And I think they're going to be fine. I think most people knew that with him being there, the players they've brought in, they've signed some powerful boys and some experienced people that he's worked with before. And it's going to be a horrible place to go just by the way they play, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I mean that in a most respectful way. Do you know what I mean? In terms of if you're going to go there and you're going to win, they're going to make you. You're going to have to work hard to win, and that's what you'd want. Any Charlton fan would want to see that, wouldn't they?
Yeah. Well, the only team that's won there so far did so with one of the goals of the season from a player that will probably go for about 50 mil at some point in Tawu. You guys have played Rovers, Blackburn, that is, this season. 1-0 in that one. For me, and this kind of sums them up, at their best, they can be really exciting, really clinical, quick transition attacks, exciting front four. It feels like they've had some games this season where they've looked great, and some games like this one where they're just not quite at it, and that's a bit of inconsistency, which is it's going to trip you up.
Does it not just sum up the Championship and the ups and downs of it, that honestly that game could have been 6 months and 30 games ago, and it was only about 7 or 8 weeks ago?
Yeah.
And like, it just feels like the season's been a roller coaster already, and I think we're 7 games into it. So yeah, good win for us. I think I remember the day that Nat Phillips was absolutely immense. I think him and Mepham have been brilliant signings for us. For me, top lads, brilliant in the dressing room, to experience. You just feel the authority they have on the pitch every day in training and on a match day. 2 really important signings for us, which we've needed, because again, we've got 2 new fullbacks on either side in Charlie Taylor, Alfie Gilchrist, George Campbell, a young goalkeeper that's really established himself now as a number 1. And I think it's so important that we have Meps and Nat there that just give you that bit of confidence and assurance, and experience is really important for us, I think.
Yeah, Oxford 0, Sheffield United 1. Chris Wilder's first win back in the dugout at Blades against his old club. I'm a bit sad. I'm buzzing that you're on the pod this week, but this is the bit that I'm sad we can't hear from George. He is, I imagine he's still asleep, because potentially hasn't even gone to bed yet out in New York celebrating Team Europe's magnificent Ryder Cup win. I hope he's not gone to bed yet. But it'd be interesting to hear him sift through his beloved Chris Wilder, getting Sheffield United's first win in the season, first clean sheet of the season, their first goal since opening day. They've been kind of, big story in the Championship so far this season, and this win, hopefully, for them can kind of calm things down a bit. It was a nice bit of play from Ogbene into Callum O'Hare to win it. Yeah,
I don't know. Did they change to a 5? I mean, Sky said they're a 4, but looking at their team, it looks like a 5. And
for sure. Yeah, the old overlapping centre-backs. There you go.
Back to the tried and trusted for Wilder.
Jaffet, right centre-back. McGuinness, central, and then me, left centre-back. Yeah,
and brilliant play, like I said, from Ogbene, who's someone I really like, actually. I think it's interesting that Ipswich let him go. I think him, and the year they went up, I think obviously Burns played that role for Ipswich, that sort of straight line, powerful runner, which Ogbene is similar. I thought that's something that maybe McKenna would want to keep around, but obviously they've let him go out, and I know he's had a challenge with injuries, obviously a big injury last season, but very, very hard-working player that I really rate highly, and I think you saw his quality for the goal. And O'Hare's someone, him and Hamer are 2 players that obviously Wilder knows well, and two players that I'm sure he'll want to get back, creating chances, scoring goals. So I think it was good. Probably for Cal as well. He's a nice lad. I've met him a few times. For his own confidence, you always want to get that first goal of the season. So for them, yeah, Sheff Utd, I'm sure they come strong now. But they've got a lot to do, haven't they, to get in the top six? I'm sure. I've not checked the table, but they're probably 10 points behind it already. So it's
too early for league tables. It's too early for league table
correct,
analysis.
But it's still 4 or 5 wins. Still 4 or 5 wins for them that they've got to make up. So they've got to go on a big run at some point. Probably win sort of 8 or 9 on the bounce at some point to get in and around that picture. Which the quality of players they've got there. I mean, defensively, you'd think they're going to keep a lot of clean sheets now moving forward. So I'm sure they'll be stronger for it. And Oxford, difficult loss for them. They've had a decent start in terms of new players coming in, have made a bit of an impact, and just shows the unpredictability of the Championship. Last weekend, them going to Bristol City and winning, scoring 3 and winning was something that probably a lot of people didn't imagine. So I'm sure similar to Nathan Jones with Charlton, I think with Gary Rowett, obviously at Oxford, he'd be the perfect man to try and keep them up.
Yeah, Ipswich beat Pompey 2-1, one-way traffic mostly this. Portsmouth with injuries in almost every area of the pitch. Still got Big Colby up front, but otherwise, yeah, ravaged. Unhelpful when Philogene does what Philogene does, with a fantastic strike to put Ipswich ahead. It's his 4th goal of the season, obviously scored that hat-trick against Sheff United. 14 shots he's taken from an average distance of 20 yards, and 4 have gone in. And you just wonder, like, if you have a player that can score 14 goals like that, I mean, that just really does raise the ceiling of your team. Leif Davis to George Hurst for 2-0. And Portsmouth got a late one through Marlon Pack. Kind of important for Ipswich to bounce back from the match abandoned against Blackburn Rovers, which they were on course potentially to lose. And it's only their 2nd win of the season, so I think there's an assumption that they will come good, but you've got to actually do it.
I think they have to. I mean, when you look at their squad, I think there's genuinely an argument, starting with the goalkeeper through the whole team, that they could have arguably one or if not the 2nd or 3rd best player in the league in every single position.
Wow, yeah.
I think when you look at their squad, they have to be up there. They have to be. When you look at Chuba Akpom, unused sub, Jack Clark on the bench, Ben Johnson, unused sub, like their bench, arguably everyone on their bench will probably get 95% of the rest of the division. So they have to be up there. For Portsmouth, I think they've had a really good start, although the points tally might not quite show it. Obviously, they've played against us away from home, Southampton, Ipswich away. They've had tough games away from home. I think they've had a really, really good start. I thought they were much improved actually against us. Murphy was outstanding in the game, Bishop, and Segicic I really like. And obviously the signing of Connor Chaplin on and off the pitch is a massive signing for that club. And I think he's the one that can ease the pressure on Murphy and on Bishop, because now they have 3 players that can really do something and really create goals and score goals. So yeah, I think Portsmouth will be fine, and Ipswich, I think they will definitely carry on improving once the new players sort of settle in.
Yeah, and the other winners over the weekend were Watford, beating Hull from behind. It was first half where Hull had, well, both teams had chances basically every single minute of this game, as you mentioned already. McBurney scoring for Hull, who's looking really good at the top of the pitch for them, but pretty strong response from Watford in the second half. There's been, because of the way the club has been run and operated for so long, 6 games in, and there was already rumours and almost assumptions that they'll just change manager at some point because it's not going quite as well as they thought it was going to go. So for Petzolano, this is obviously a big turnaround win. And welcome to the Championship, Vivaldo Semedo, 20-year-old striker who in the second half had his first big moments, big contributions, latching onto a long ball into the channel. John Egan did not fancy engaging with him, and he was able to get the ball under control, lay it off to Imran Louza to finish, and then Semedo scored a header from a corner to win it, with Watford kind of piling on the pressure at that point. So yeah, two sides keen to attack, slightly less keen to defend, makes for a pretty entertaining game.
Yeah, it was mental watching the highlights. Like we said earlier, it could have been 10-0. I think Luz is a very, very big player for Watford. I think him playing well is massively important to where they're going to be this season. For me, one of the best midfield players in the league.
Really, yeah. Great
left foot from set plays, and I think you saw the power of that, obviously, with the winner. So he's someone that, if he stays fit for Watford, they have a lot of players that show a lot of intent in terms of running behind, and he is the player that can unlock that door. So I think for him, with them forward options in front of him, Barr as well as another one coming off the bench, he's a big player for them, for me, playing well. So keep Loser fit, and I'm sure Watford will be fine.
I think that's an interesting point, isn't it? It's like, if you've got a lot of attacking players with pace, with size, which most teams have now, clearly getting the ball to them quickly before a defence has got set. For example, that equalising goal, Egan does not want to be dragged out to the channel to handle a 20-year-old 6'3" striker. But you have to have either your midfielders getting on the ball, or in a lot of cases your centre-backs and full-backs who are really accurate with their passing as well. This isn't just like pump it forward and see what happens. Like, the quality of the ball has to be really, really good as well. That's where I guess Loser is important. And I was thinking of Charlton, going back to them. I was thinking, like, you watch their highlights and they have a lot of chances from set pieces, and the chances that they have from open play, a lot of them start with a long pass forward. It's not a coincidence that they then either win the knockdown, or even if they don't, there's 3 players sprinting forward to get on the seconds. And then once they get on it in the final third, they then have a few patterns in order to work it into a shooting position. Like, this stuff it's not always as obvious as like intricate patterns of play in the final third. Like I mentioned with Coventry earlier, building it out wide and then, working a few triangles and getting a cutback at the byline. But they are still coached patterns of play, and if players know where to be ahead of time, it's very, very effective, whatever the style is. And like any style, long passing where players don't really know where to be, and so it gets called aimless because no one really knew what to do when it happened. It's the same with short passing. That we see a lot of aimless short passing against low blocks where teams are like, well, I don't know what to do. I don't want to be the one to take a shot or do a dribble here, so I'm just going to pass it short. There's not much
it's
to
how
that.
the game is. Like, when you look at a lot of the way teams defend now, it's man-to-man. So teams come man-to-man. The obvious ball is a ball into the front man, and that's where you see, even with our goal the other day, Leicester, it's a man-to-man press. And then you need to clear that space, play to the last line, Hegebo flicks around the corner, and then the space will arrive if you can sort of outrun your man from a deep position. So it's done on purpose. I think a lot of teams now play man-to-man. You watch Premier League, nearly all the games are man-to-man press. And I think that's where now so many Championship clubs, they want that physical number 9 that they can play up to, who can get hold of the ball, and then the rest of the team join in. And that's where the space is opened up, like you said. And I think that's been a feature of nearly every team now, from where it was, like you said, 2 years ago, even when I think me playing up front a lot of the better teams are playing without a striker. And now you feel it's gone the other way because of the man-to-man pressure that most teams play defensively, that a lot of teams now have that physical target.
Tell you what, man-to-man, that sounds absolutely exhausting for you lot.
Yeah,
like
do you know what it is?
The
You need
psychological
to...
side as well as the physical side.
No, it is. And it just, to don a phrase of Carlos Corberán in broken English, win the back of your opponent. That's what you need to do. So when the ball... So imagine the midfielders, teams ran out from the goal kick. When the ball goes up to Hegebo, it's the job of me, Johnson, Ilan Jr., Malumbi to win the back of the person that's marking you, because then you're running towards their goal and it's a flat foot race. It's almost like the new age second ball in a way. When a ball goes past you, it's a quick movement to get past the person that's marking you man to man, and then you're forward facing. Exactly what happened with our goal, really. It's a longer pass into Hegebo, flicks it around the corner, unbelievable. And because it's man to man, it's 3 against 2. They obviously had 3, and Sam shows a fantastic. He shows one touch on his right foot in the sequence of his dribbling. They just opened it up, and then it's a great finish for him. And I think so many teams defend that way now that they almost want small passes so they can jump on and press. They don't want that ball into the final third with someone like a DK or Hegebo or Madja that can hold the ball up. You completely transform the way the game looks in one 30-yard pass, to be honest.
Right, let's whiz through a couple of the 1-1 draws, and you can tell me after I've done a couple of them which sort of really stood out for you here. We had Swans 1, Millwall 1. The Viper Vipotnik with another brilliant goal, back heel finish. Someone that's really coming on strong in his second season. His ball striking is just brilliant. And then your old mate Jake Cooper heading it across to Coburn to equalise for Millwall. We'll touch on Millwall in a second. Let's just make sure we do the results though. Stoke 1, Norwich 1 was Jovan Makama tapping in to an empty net after a nice move for Norwich. Got Stacey in behind down the right. He seems to be doing really well with those sort of late runs out wide and breaking the offside trap and getting good balls across. But Sorba Thomas, who's having a good season, equalised for Stoke. Wrexham 1, Derby 1. Wrexham will be pretty gutted not to win this, having taken the lead. A really nice goal as well from them. Kabore on the right wing, crossing for O'Brien. As you mentioned, lucky to be on the pitch, really, after a dangerous tackle early on, which did not see him sent off. And Derby equalising when Adjumang, who's the big target, won the flick on, and they're streaking in behind, exactly as you've just explained, was Ben Brereton Diaz. Didn't need to get close to the box because 25 yards out, he just curled it into the top corner. And I'm pretty excited by what I've seen from Adjumang so far, I must say, since he's returned from his injury and played his first few games in a Derby shirt. We had PNE 0, Bristol City 0, a match that happened, but probably the save of the season from Daniel Iverson right at the end to deny Mehmeti. 0-0 draw there. Sheffield Wednesday 1, QPR 1. Dominic Iorfa with a header to put Wednesday ahead, and then one of those sort of flailing arm in the midst of a set piece melee, hits the arm, penalty. QPR scored by Madsen. Sheffield Wednesday getting a point there. And last but not least, Southampton 1, Middlesbrough 1. Our leaders remain unbeaten. Adam Armstrong put Saints ahead with a second brilliant finish in 2 games for him, but Cali Sen with his second in 2 games off the bench to equalise for Borough. Nice little burst in behind, great first touch with his left foot in order to be able to shoot with his second, right sort of into his shooting motion. Bit fortunate with the deflection, which looped it over the keeper, and Borough 4 points clear, Jed, at the top of the Championship. So you've been talking about not sleeping on results and getting results and turning middling performances into wins, or good performances into wins, or poor performances into draws or wins, and so far Borough doing that better than anyone.
Yeah, 100%. I think playing them, you sort of felt that they still had that quality playing through the lines that you would associate a typical Borough team with. Carrick and Morris and Hackney dropping behind the first line of the opposition and playing through balls, and felt like they had all the time in the world, but it's so difficult because the positions they go into. But also then add in that, like I say, they've scored a really sort of scrappy header against us that maybe they didn't score as many as they should have last season. Yeah, they played well, and the second goal they scored against us was a great goal, to be honest. Sort of one-touch combination play, really good, and probably shaded it just about. But on the flip side, we had opportunities as well. Disappointed that we didn't sort of equalise earlier with the chances that we did have. But yeah, you go through the draws there and it just shows how tight the division is. I think it's crazy. Nearly the whole league's drawn 1-1 this weekend.
Yeah.
And a lot of those goals, again, you look at a lot of those goals, a lot of them are set plays. And I think you're seeing the importance of that this season.
Yeah, for sure. Millwall, your old club, I feel like a sort of real change of vibe there in the last 18 months or so. And well, what's been very noticeable as we cover the transfers really closely on NTT20.com is like they got their big sale of Essa to Crystal Palace, and what they've done with that money has been very front-footed in terms of you get the big sale, you pay 2 or 3 mil maybe for 3 players, which maybe Millwall might have struggled to fund previously, and you sell Fleming for a bit of money, and you use that money to buy another 2 or 3 players for a bit more. And on the pitch as well, after appointing Alex Neil, things have looked really good on that front as well. So I wonder how it feels for you to kind of to follow Millwall from afar now.
Yeah, still follow, because obviously I care for the club, the people there, and still very close with Big Coops. Speak to him nearly every day. So yeah, I think it's been a big transition for them as a club, moving away from the so-called typical Millwall players as such. Obviously there's a big foreign influx of players there. Ballow's one that, sort of watching the Watford game, I thought he played really well. I could see the energy that he's got. And to be honest, the one that impresses me every time I watch him play is Crammer. I think he's been outstanding for me. Looks one of the best centre-halves in the division. I mean, 6'4", 6'5". Even when he plays right back, he's bombing up and down the wing. So I think he's one that's been fantastic. Obviously, Caleb Taylor's gone there as well from West Brom, who is, in my mind, Baby Cooper. 6'5". Yeah, 6'5". Monster in both boxes. Fantastic professional. Great lad. Very similar to Coops. So they've got 3 real top centre-halves there now that they can really build a foundation off. And I think Millwall teams, certainly the best Millwall teams I played in, we always had that foundation. Normally of Hutchinson and Cooper, that was solid, and Millwall's always going to be a team that if they get in the playoffs, they're going to have to keep 15 or 16 clean sheets. But like I say, those defensive options are really important, and then obviously their injury list is insane. insane as it feels like it always is. I don't know how it happens because I know the staff there, they're such hard working, great people, and
Mate,
they're trying to improve the training ground, I feel. But
the strain on you guys,
yeah.
not just with the schedule, but with everything you've said about the football itself, is just getting harder and harder for you physically.
I think I had this chat with the physios actually a few weeks ago, where for all the modern day science now, it feels like the injury records are getting worse. But then his counter argument to me was, but the lads are so much more powerful now. The games are so much more intense. There's so many more sprints. There's so many more sprints in training. So I think this probably comes hand in hand, doesn't it? But yeah, Millwall's injury list feels massive. But they have got a big squad. So even for all the injuries they had, I sort of look at their bench and I still think they've got a really good bench, all things considered, even if they've got 7 or 8 injuries. So it shows how many players they have recruited there over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I'll finish with a bit of Jedley quiz. Stoke, when I was thinking about Stoke ahead of the pod, I thought to myself, Jed must have played a lot of games against Stoke because they've been in the Championship for pretty much the period that you've been playing at this level. I looked on Transfermarkt. They are the team that you've played the 3rd most games against in your career, and I wonder if you could tell me who you reckon you've played the most games against.
Who I played the most against? I would guess QPR.
It's not QPR. It's PNE, Preston.
That's about right, isn't it, to be fair.
Do you reckon they've all been 1-1 draws as well?
Yeah, I reckon probably a lot of them were for Millwall, and I would say Millwall against Preston won't be getting highlighted many times if I can think of the top of my head of those games. Normally just 22 really hard-working lads. 8th against 12th, 1-1 written all over it.
Nothing wrong with that. That is what holds this whole pyramid together, Jed. Don't you worry.
I've had some massive wins against them with West Brom, to be fair, so it's made amends. We had a couple of really good wins against them.
Yeah, Borough, the team you've played against, the 2nd most, and then Derby, Blackburn and Stoke joint 3rd. Here's one. Who do you reckon you've scored the most goals against?
Most goals? I feel like I've scored a few against Leeds, to be honest.
Interesting.
I've scored quite a few against Leeds. Who else would I put in there? I think now. Go on, I'm sure you're going to tell me.
You've scored 5 goals against Bristol City.
Bristol City, okay, yeah. Well, my granddad's a big Bristol City fan, so sorry for that. Sorry for that, granddad. Yeah, my mum's from Bristol, so maybe that's why.
And for balance, most games against a team that you've not scored against. So like the teams that you've played 19, 18, 17, 16 times, you've scored against all of those. There's one team.
Sheffield Wednesday?
Sheffield Wednesday. 12
I've
games,
always said
no
Sheffield
goals.
Wednesday is my bogey team. It's
Yeah.
my bogey team. Yeah, it's always been the same.
You know what I'm going to
I've
say
not had
next?
many good days at Hillsborough. Who else have I not scored against?
No, I was going to say, on the Wednesday theme, one of your only 2 red cards as well.
Yeah, Sheff Wednesday, yeah.
There you go.
I remember that game.
Something wrong.
Yeah, and it was early doors. It was one of them where you sat in the dressing room thinking, oh no, this is... And we ended up seeing out. I think we won 1-0. I think Tom Bradshaw pressed their whole back 4 on his own for about 80 minutes, bless him. But we managed to hang on for a 1-0 win.
Jed Wallace does not like Wednesdays. That's the headline.
Sheffield
there.
Wednesday, yeah, that's always... I've always said that. And that I didn't know that stat, so that actually proves it even more. Yeah.
There you go. Jed, thank you for joining me to chat Championship football. What a pleasure.
Pleasure as always. Yeah, thanks for the time. And like, it's always interesting to get your opinions on it because you watch probably more football than anyone I know. So you know more than me, I reckon. It's just I'm on the pitch, so sometimes it's easier to tell what's going on.
Yeah. No, it's been really, really interesting. And go well in midweek. I'm going to be down at Pompey watching them play Watford.
Yep.
I'm really looking forward to that. So, and you guys are at...
We are Norwich Wednesday. Yeah, Norwich away.
away.
Yeah.
All right, Jed. Cheers, mate. Go well.
Top man.